excited because I think that this, that providing these sort of networks of support, between training and between real funds, we can create a system here in St. Louis where, artists can feel supported. As I said to people, if we had done this 20 years ago, there would be 200 artists who've gotten fellowships. So, chances are one, in your field, right? Yeah. So, we got to start somewhere, and let's start now. I'm excited about where St. Louis is. I feel like we're at this little tipping point. It's my job to sort of try to be plugged in. And so I feel that there's a lot going on. We have so many problems. The racial divide is a real thing. And it's I think, our biggest thing that we have to overcome. But I feel like there's an energy here. And I think that these kinds of fellowships and funding directly to artists can help that.
I grew up in a city sort of analogous size and in some ways history, which had a lot of racial problems. And that had sort of the divides were here and there and areas of town and whatever. And Chicago is, of course, Chicago, but you have a gigantic river dividing and a state line dividing you from East St. Louis, which is has its problems and challenges. It's a really interesting, it's not just the wrong side of the tracks, but you got to go over a bridge and it's a different state. And in terms of programming for that, it's got to be a challenge in terms of if you want to address some of those issues or have somebody you have somebody who's applied who wants to work with that sort of politic, it's got to be a bit of a challenge to program for because of just the logistics of it.
Right. And it's not just the river. I don't know if you guys saw, there was this British documentary called
We heard about it.
Yeah. And so the Delmar Divide is what people talk about. And, that's an arbitrary divide, but it's there. There's a divide among people in St. Louis. I think that I believe that the arts are one of the places where we can cross that divide, and we should be working at that.
Well, I think that the arts has traditionally been one of the areas of common ground, in terms of a lot of more sensitive and historically conflict-laden dialogues, because it's every community, regardless of who and economics and racial background, every community tends to have an artistic element to it.
Do.
And then that's sort of a common language, not to sound too kumbaya, all artists speak the same language, but kind of.
Art is incredibly empowering and transformative for people who participate. And to be able to create situations in which people who don't necessarily think of themselves as artists to participate in situations that might amplify their voices. We're not giving anybody a voice; they already have a voice. But art can be a tool to amplify voices, right? And to create social change and to say this is what we need, and to work with artists who have that kind of to work with artists who've got that kind of drive and understand and are willing to work with people and understand that's part of their own practice is really a privilege for me. And I've been invited into these amazing communities and these amazing situations, and I'm really grateful for it. I learn from them more than they ever learned from me. We have something called the Community Arts Training Institute, and you'll hear people talk about the CAT Institute, and of course the puns are never ending.
You guys are really into acronyms here, man.
Yeah, we are. And so the CAT Institute's been going on for about 16, 17 years, and we take artists of all disciplines and people who are community activists, community organizers, social workers. I had an alderman go through, and we cross-train them for 5 months in a very intensive way.
Well,
and the reason, yeah, it is. And the reason to do that is that, first place, artists who are interested in social practice and in working within communities, they don't know how to do that. You don't learn that at art school. So, and because we are funding those kinds of programs, we want to make sure people are doing it in a way that is authentic. So you can't just train the artists, you have to train the artists with the people they're going to work with. Right. And the people they're going to work with don't always understand the creative process, right, and what that means, and where the transformation happens and that social change happens. So having an opportunity to train people together in a really intense way has been really. It's why I took my job. It's why I do what I do.